Twitter in a very smart way. He reached out to his buddy, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, who's got millions and millions of Twitter followers. So The Rock would send out a tweet saying, my buddy at Tom Brady, so that all of a sudden people knew, oh, that's a Twitter account now because it wasn't before. Okay. And then that's how it was. What's up,
Two things. One, he had 20,000 tweets in about 10 minutes, which because of that, they were followers.
Yeah.
And two, is that Jenny Taft?
Is it, in the Photoshop?
Yeah, walking with.
I don't believe that.
Similar eyes.
I don't believe that to be Jenny Taft.
Very similar eyes, very similar chin.
All right.
I got you, Jenna.
Thank you.
No, I very similar.
Photoshop.
Good job, Jenna.
Time now for stories to start your morning. Odell Beckham was introduced to the city of Cleveland yesterday. Sat alongside his new teammates. See, what are your expectations for Odell in Cleveland?
I got great expectations because I believe the support and cast, not only young players around the same age, but John Dorsey, the head coach, Freddie Kitchens, the wide receiver coach who coached him in college and with the Giants. I believe that's important in Jarvis Landry's voice.
And listen, I expect Odell to go back on the field statistical production to have the best year of his career and be the best receiver in football. I don't think that's too high of expectations. He's entering his athletic prime. He's fully healthy. He's going to have a full offseason. He's got the best quarterback he's ever had with the best supporting cast he's ever had. Every box is checked for him to have 1,400 plus yards, 100 plus catches. That's what I expect from Odell this year.
All right, to the draft now. The Oakland Raiders are holding private workouts with both quarterback Kyler Murray and quarterback Dwayne Haskins. See, you think the Raiders will draft a quarterback?
I think the Raiders are doing something smart by working out both guys. I don't think they'll draft a quarterback in the first round. Now, after that, they should be in the business for a quarterback, but they're doing the right thing by working out the best two quarterbacks.
And there was an interesting note yesterday that Kyler's on-the-field stuff was delayed over an hour and a half because Gruden had him on the whiteboard so much longer than they expected, so much more time. Gruden's entire tenure in Oakland makes so much more sense if you look at it through the prism of he's out on Derek Carr and just can't say it. So I do think it's very on the board that Dwayne Haskins there at number 4 that they jump and grab it.
To basketball now, LeBron said he will skip the World Cup this summer, but left the door open to play in the 2020 Olympics. Nick, you think LeBron will be on the Olympic team?
That would be unbelievable. It would be surprising if he wants to extend a season that long, when it would be going into year 18 for him. It would be another, add legacy points, I suppose, but I'm not surprised at all he's not going to play in the World Cup this summer. It would be it's surprising to me he's even opening the door to returning to the Olympic team in 2020.
It should always be an option. We saw not guys that had this type of tenure, but guys at the end of their NBA career. Larry Bird, Magic, that they got that last Olympic. What did it mean? It was just out of respect, and LeBron should have that same respect granted to him.
All right, moving on to Zion, who is almost certainly moving on to the NBA. Former Nike and Adidas exec Sonny Vaccaro said Zion will spark the biggest bidding war ever for a shoe deal. See, you agree?
Yeah, Sonny, man, he's a smart guy. He knows the business, man. He has the pulse of this business. And yes, especially after the fact that he has the shoe explode on him, national TV, how that led to an injury. Of course, Adidas wants to get in the game. Nike was always in the game. So, yes, but buyer beware. I mean, he is not Michael Jordan as far as selling shoes. There'll be another Michael Jordan, and I don't believe he'll be as popular in shoes as far as LeBron. He will get the biggest contract that we've seen, but I don't know if overall success that he has the type of charisma that will lead to shoe sales.
Oh, so I'm very interested in seeing how this works out because I think he will be a great shoe pitchman, and I think we just haven't seen his true personality at Duke
this is year. What I've seen, though. Guys who dunk the basketball, because people know I can't dunk.
I can't do that. So how much is it? I get that part of it, but I'm talking about not necessarily for actual hoopers, but for young people, for grade schoolers or young high schoolers wanting to wear Zion's shoe. He's going to break LeBron's record if you don't adjust for inflation. LeBron's record is 7-year, $87 million as a rookie. He's going to get more raw dollars than that.
And finally, you make me laugh when you bring up inflation. Big names making big decisions about where they'll play. Much has been made of Kyrie and KD's upcoming free agency. Are they staying? If they aren't staying, where are they going? If they are they going together? If they're going together, who's bringing snacks? Sorry, this is what my friends and I talk about. It was recently reported the relationship between the two is, quote, as strong as ever. Nick, what do you make of this?
I think they're going to most likely be playing together next year. And I think what has happened this year for both of them outside of basketball and kind of inside of basketball has only made that more likely. It's not surprising at all that their bond is as strong as ever when these are two guys that are dealing with very similar things. Two guys who have accomplished everything they could have ever hoped to accomplish on the basketball court. They have both hit shots to win championships, essentially. They have both. Kevin Durant's been at league MVP. Kyrie Irving's been as close as a player of his caliber is probably going to get, which is one tier just a tick beneath league MVP. And they have both found themselves unfulfilled. That this does not make me happy. This is not what I thought it would be. And so they have a bit of a kindred spirit in that regard. And from a basketball perspective, Kyrie is the most overqualified wingman in the NBA. And by wingman, I don't mean like winged player. I mean Robin to a Batman. He is great in that role. He is great as a guy who can take over games, but does not have to every single night. We saw him play next to LeBron. He could do the exact same thing for Kevin Durant, except have the ball in his hands more often because Durant doesn't need to initiate offense the way LeBron does. So from an on-court and off-court perspective, it all makes sense. We know Kyrie has, at least in the past, shown an urge to want to play in New York. Kevin Durant is setting up his off-the-court businesses in New York. All those the Knicks have 2 max salary cap spots. All those reasons to me say it makes perfect sense that these two guys end up in New York City.
All right, so here's the thing. We talk so much about these two guys being a little bit odd, right? A little different than other NBA players, which is why it's inexplicable. We don't really get them completely. I joked about bringing snacks. I'm a bit of an oddball. You would call me a bit of a... But you know who gets me? My friend Marnie. My friend Marnie gets me, which is why we're so successful out in the open plains.
Right.
We really kill it out there.
Right.
There's something to these two guys forming a friendship. They get each other. And maybe that in and of itself could be enough to be successful on a basketball court, regardless of whether we get them, whether we understand them, or whether the rest of the league does.
Or the rest of the world. Because a lot of time, when you're in that rarefied atmosphere as far as a locker room, especially NBA, it's not a big locker room. You only need 1 or 2 guys to get you. Right. And especially if it's the prominent voices, if it's the leaders, if it's the highest paid or the best players, if they happen to get you, because maybe LeBron didn't get Kyrie in Cleveland. I know Russ didn't get KD in OKC, and he's just a traveling circus with Golden State. So he's not about all the attention. So I believe that the respect that they have for each other, and maybe the lack of respect that they receive from the other prominent players that they played with. Now, I don't believe that Golden State and their stars, that they disrespect Kevin. I just believe him joining there, he didn't get the type of respect when he joined them, what he's done in the last couple finals, that he thought he should get.
Especially when the guy who was the initial recruiter of Kevin Durant, long before the phone call from his car after Game 7 of the finals, during that 73-win season, Draymond was the one recruiting KD. And Draymond's the one that said, KD, leave, we don't need you. And so Steph is in a different place personally. Steph's got a wife, a couple kids. You know what I mean? Clay is his own guy. I think Clay and Kevin Durant, from everything I've read, have a good relationship. But I don't know that he has a bond with anyone on that team the way he seems to have a bond with Kyrie. And from a basketball perspective, it would work great. So I think it makes perfect sense. I think a lot of things have been building towards this.
Just like I told you when we started the show, Jenna, don't worry. Nick's not going to get you. I get you.
He doesn't.
I understand. And that's why we got a successful show.
Did you say you and your friend Marnie are out on the open plains?
Yeah.
Like it's true grit?
Yeah.
Like you would,
I couldn't believe you didn't even pick up
I wanted
on
to
that.
get to the basketball point, but I wasn't going to let it go. Jenna and Marnie riding big steeds out west.
to Big Ben Roethlisberger.
What are you talking?
Much has been made of his somewhat passive-aggressive leadership style, and that's me being passive-aggressive about describing it. Ben has been known to take some shots at teammates and coaches, but he folds them into his weekly radio appearance. Many have called on him to stop doing the show. Well, according to reports, Roethlisberger is expected to do just that. In an effort to improve relationships with his teammates, he says he might actually stop doing the show. See, is this a step in the right direction for Ben?
It would be a great move, because the one thing that it would do, and what we haven't heard is fault. Like, you know something? Like, if a relationship goes bad, there's a tremendous opportunity for both people to be able to look at it and be like, you know, what could I have done? Or what could I do different? At this stage of Ben's career, I would hate to think that he's not growing, that he's not self-reflecting, looking at, man, we lost a lot of talent. How am I going to be able to win games? Or maybe I might want to look at myself. All these things people are saying, I mean, even if 10% of them are true.
Exactly.
So I believe, and a lot of guys in the NFL locker room, they don't have the power of the voice. So even if a reporter comes to them and they're a role player and they say something, it's not going to be the same as Ben Roethlisberger. And I just know through my experience, you can't always be the team spokesperson every week, because if you tell the truth, man, you're going to put yourself at odds with your teammates in that locker room. So for me, man, I stopped doing a local radio show, not because I thought that it was beneath me. No, it wasn't good service to my teammates. Me commenting, people talking about, man, you guys got a lot of problems on the offensive line. How do I make this look good? Right. I mean, the quarterback just got sacked 7 times. How do I make that look good? Because everyone knows I was open. Well, at least that's what I'm going to say as a wide receiver. So it's really hard on your teammates, and you have to be really savvy and crafty to be able to avoid those landmines. And if you do a show, Tom Brady is coming with sweetness on his radio show when he does that national show. He's been doing it a couple years, but you can say what you want. Man, that's Lob City. I mean, let's put it on a tee, man. Tom, where do you want?